So I'm going to walk through the process of setting up this dashboard that shows UFO sightings by shape. So we have a spooky alien themed background. We have three different types of charts that show different types of data. And we have a little drop-down selector up there at the top where you can pick your shape that you want to see data for. Before I get into it, you can follow along with the written instructions at excelexercises.com/UFO dashboard.html. And that's also where you download this data file. So the first thing you think is, I wish there was a day of the week column for all this data. And it turns out you can make your own. So go to column E and write day of the week up at the top there. And then we can actually use this function called the text function. The first argument is going to be the date, and the second argument is going to be DDDD in quotes. And that tells the text function, hey, return this date as a spelled out day of the week. And to get this formula copied all the way down the column, I use a little trick where I hold Control and hit the down arrow key. That brings me all the way to the bottom of the list. And then I write some text in that cell, doesn't matter what it is. Then I use the Control up arrow key. I copy that cell, and I hold Control Shift and hit the down arrow key, and then paste it in. And then I also decide that I want the year of the date too by itself. So in column F, I just use the year function and I grab the year from the date. And this dashboard also has a drop-down selector. So we're going to need a list of all the different shapes, but without any duplicates. So over here in column K, I'm going to write shapes. I'm going to copy this whole column in D, and I'm going to paste that in under the word shapes. And then I'm going to remove duplicates, either by going to the Data tab and hitting the Remove Duplicates button, or I can hit Alt-A-M, and that'll get rid of the duplicates in my list. And then I'm also going to sort these values alphabetically. So when you have them all selected, you can either go to the Data tab and hit the Sort Alphabetically button, or you can hit Alt-A-S-A. And then finally, I'm going to select them all again and cut with Control X, and then paste them one cell down, and then add an option for all right at the top. And then I'm going to make a new worksheet down here at the bottom, and I'm going to call that worksheet Dashboard. So I'm back in my Data tab. I'm going to grab all the states. So I'm going to copy this whole column. I'm going to go back to the dashboard worksheet, and I'm going to go all the way down to cell C30, and I'm going to paste all those states. And then I'm going to go through that whole process of removing the duplicates and sorting them alphabetically. So in the Data tab, I'm going to go to Alt-A-M and remove the duplicates. I'm going to hit OK. Should see 50 unique values remaining, and then I'm going to go back to the Data tab and do the Sort Alphabetically button. Then over here in F30, I'm going to start writing the days of the week. So Sunday through Saturday. Excel is actually smart enough where you can write Sunday and Monday and then just grab that fill handle in the corner and drag it down until you see the rest of the days of the week. So back in my data worksheet, I'm going to come over here and grab all the years and copy that whole column. But if I try to just paste normally, I'm going to get errors. And that's because we're actually pasting formulas here rather than the year values themselves. So I need to paste special here, either by right-clicking and choosing Paste Special, or by holding Control-Alt-V, and then I need to pick Values and paste the year values. And then I'm going to remove all the duplicate years, and then sort the years in order. And then up here in cell C2, I'm going to write Select Shape. And then over in D2, we're going to set up some data validation, and then it's going to be our drop-down selector. So up here in the Data tab, I'm going to pick data validation over here on the right side. I'm going to click that. I'm going to choose list and click in that source field. Then I'm going to go back to my data worksheet and move this little window out of the way. And I want to select everything in that shapes column. So everything from all to triangle, and hit OK. So now I have a little drop-down selector here in cell D2. Let's pick changing for now, just so you have a value in there that isn't all, and you'll see why later. And then down here in cell D30, we want to write a COUNTIFS formula that counts the number of UFO sightings where the state is Alaska and the shape is whatever we have picked up in cell D2. And don't worry about getting the formula perfect right now. You can copy it from this web page below. And then I'm going to do the trick where I hold Control and hit the down arrow key to go all the way to the bottom of the list. I'm going to add a little bit of text down there at the bottom, hit Control and then the up arrow key, and then copy that whole thing down to my X and paste it. Then over here in cell G30, I'm going to write another COUNTIFS formula that counts the number of sightings where day of the week is equal to Sunday, and the shape is equal to whatever is up in that selector in D2. And then over here in L30, I'm going to do the same thing where I find the number of sightings where the year is equal to 1910 and the shape is equal to whatever is in the selector. Now I'm going to pick columns A, B, H, I, J, and P, and I'm going to change their width either by hitting Alt H O W or in the Home tab hitting the Format button and then Cell Width and set that to 2 and hit Enter. Then I'm going to pick all these other columns in between and set their width equal to 9. And then adjust column C so you can read it. I'm going to write a title up here in B1. And I'm going to make it bold and big and pick a light color for all the text. Maybe this spooky light green alien color. I'm going to make row 3 really short. I'm going to give it a height of, say, 2, maybe 4. Now I'm going to hold the Control key and use my mouse to pick cells B4 through 15 and B17 through 25, and J4 through 15. Then up here in the search box, I'm going to look for Format Cells. Hit Fill Effects, check the vertical box there, and I'm going to make color number 1 black and color number 2 that spooky green alien color, and hit OK. Then in cells H4 through 15, P4 through 15, and P17 through 25. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to switch colors 1 and 2. Color 1 is going to be that spooky green color, and color 2 is going to be black. And now I'm going to hold the control key, select all the cells within those 3 rectangles, and turn those into that dark green color. And then I'm going to come down here and pick all of the data on sightings by state. I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to pick Maps. This is only available in Excel 2019 or later, so if you don't have the map option here, you can pick a bar chart or whatever other kind of chart you want to use. And then I'm going to position it and drag it so it's up in that top left green rectangle that I made earlier. Then I'm going to come down here and pick the data that shows sightings by day of the week. And I'm going to hit Insert, and I'll pick a bar chart here. You can use whatever you want. And I'm going to make that a little smaller, and then I'm going to drag that so it's in the top right rectangle. Then finally, I'm going to come down here, pick my sightings by year data, and hit Insert, and maybe I'll do a scatter plot. Maybe this isn't the best data for a scatter plot, but, we're just having fun, gonna get weird with it. You can use whatever kind of chart you want. And there. So now we have all of our graphs in place. We can pick different shapes from our shape selector here, and the graphs change depending on what shape we are looking at. The only problem is when we try to pick all. And why is that? It's because our COUNTIFS formulas are looking for sightings where the shape is equal to the word all, which isn't any of them. So we need to update these formulas, starting with the one in D30. So I'm going to come up here and copy the formula that we had, and then I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to replace it with an if function. So I'm going to say if, open parentheses here, if D2 equals the word all, then we're going to do one thing. Otherwise, we're going to do another thing. And so I'm just going to paste in the original function for both these conditions and then add a closing parentheses at the end. So what do we want here? When the cell D2 has the word all in it, we want to count all the UFO sightings that take place in Alaska, regardless of shape, because we're saying, show us a number of sightings for all shapes. So I'm going to delete this D2 reference, and I'm just going to put an asterisk in a set of quotation marks here. And we know that that's a wildcard, so that matches with any text, and that'll match with any shape in the column. Then I'll go ahead and copy this updated formula down for the rest of the states too. But first I need to remember to lock the row in my reference to D2. So I can copy this formula all the way down and get real numbers. And now I just need to do the same thing for these other two charts. So I'll come down here to days of the week for my Sunday formula, copy it, switch it out for an if statement, and do the same thing. And the same thing for sightings by year. And remember, if you get stuck, these formulas are on this web page at the bottom. It's also linked in the description of this video. So next, I'm going to come in and delete my chart titles. Just because they take up room, it's kind of obvious what these charts are showing. So I just feel like getting rid of them. You can click on your chart, go up to this chart design tab up top here, and if you go to change colors, you can pick a different color scheme. So maybe I'll go with this orange one here. You can pick whatever you want. Then I'm going to click on my chart and make sure the outside borders are highlighted. I'm going to right click and say Format Chart Area. Then for fill, I'm going to say no fill, and for border, I'm going to say no line. I'm going to click on any text within my chart that I need to read, and over on the right side, I'm going to pick text options and turn the color to like a really light gray, or something that'll stand out against that dark green background. And then I'll just do the same thing with these other two charts. And now here's the cool part. I'm going to hold Control and hit A to select every cell in the worksheet. Then I'm going to hold Control and use my mouse to select all of these green rectangles that I've made. So I basically selected every cell in the worksheet, and now I'm deselecting these green rectangles. And then up here in the Home tab, I'm going to turn the background color to black. So now we have a black dashboard with some green rectangles, and they look like they have some spooky glowing green edges, which is pretty cool. Now I can just resize these charts so that they take up all the room that they have and fit better in these green rectangles. And now you have a dashboard that shows you the best time and place to spot different types of UFOs. So if you pick chevron, maybe you need to go to California. If you pick cigar shaped, you still need to go to California. But you should probably go on a Friday to see a cigar shaped UFO. So aliens love California. And that makes sense. A lot of the Californians I know are kind of weird. But if we pick Delta, we need to go to one of these 6 states. So, there you go. So, there you go. You can customize this dashboard any way you want. One of the best ways to learn is to take this and modify it and do something new. We have data on the cities for these different sightings, so maybe you want to focus on the cities within a particular state, or you want to graph out the time of day for certain sightings. So go ahead and make changes to the dashboard and try to build something new. Thanks for watching. And remember, you can follow along with our written tutorial and download the data at this URL here. Thanks.